In honor of Logic dropping his final studio album, No Pressure, last Friday, today we are going to be ranking his full discography, all of his full-length studio albums, and as always, I just ranked the full-length studio albums, not the mixtapes, so this doesn't include Young, Broken, Infamous, any of the Young Sinatras besides Young Sinatra IV, because that was a studio album, or the Bobby Tarantinos. I know those are all amazing mixtapes, but I just ranked their full body of works, full studio albums. I think Logic is truly an underrated rapper in our generation because I truly believe that he's one of the best hip hop artists of our generation. He's not, any mumble rapper. He has great, solid, concrete lyrics and storytelling abilities on amazing boom bap or futuristic sound production and lyricism that just shows he is an amazing rapper, especially skill set wise. He may not be the most mainstream rapper, but in terms of his rapping skills, he is definitely one of the best, and he's one of the only people that can get the features that he does. So we're gonna hop right into it. He has 6 studio albums, so starting at number 6, I have Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, his most previous album right before No Pressure, his final album. Now, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind was a very interesting album for Logic, and I feel like it was very experimental, and it wasn't what anybody was thinking that it was going to be. And I get what he was doing on it, because he was kind of having this dueling consciousness where he was like, okay, maybe I should do like the super mainstream thing where, his Bobby Tarantino mixtapes were kind of more mainstream. They were hard over trap beats, but they weren't like extreme mainstream, like, which Logic doesn't really ever do. Logic always does his own thing, and that's why we love him. And on this album, he was just kind of dueling with that, like, let's go mainstream, let's stay, Logic classic boom bap. And we all know it just wasn't like the most classic Logic album. Once again, like, I understand what he was going for, but some of the features were just a bit underwhelming for me personally. I don't know about you guys, but and that's just all it was. I think it just missed the mark a little bit, but still not a horrible album. My favorite songs were Homicide featuring Eminem and Keanu Reeves. At number 5, I have Everybody. Now, when the title track song Everybody dropped, I was extremely hyped for it. I thought Everybody was such an amazing song, and I really liked it. And then the album dropped, and it's not that I was like super disappointed or anything, because I really did enjoy the album, but it was definitely a very socially conscious album where you really had to think on every single song that he came out with, which is basically, that's like what Logic does, but this was extremely socially conscious when he was talking about, being black in America, a lot of biracial songs, and a lot of songs about anxiety and depression, which are definitely 3 very relevant topics today, and they're very important to be talked about. And especially when he dropped the 1-800 song, that song definitely changed the world, no doubt. I love that song. That song is absolutely amazing. And he tries to get everybody included. I definitely don't think it was a bad album by any means. It's just number 5 on the list because I just thought the other 4 albums above it were better, and that's pretty much all. Let me know your guys' thoughts on Everybody, because I know it seems to kind of have a split decision on like the critics' thoughts and the fans' thoughts, but I thought it was a good album. I just thought his other 4 albums were better. That's pretty much it. My favorite songs on it were 1-800, that song changed the world, and Black Spider-Man. Coming in at number 4, honestly, probably in my top 2 favorite Logic albums, but it comes in at number 4, Young Sinatra IV. And I think this album was definitely overlooked because it did come right after the album Everybody. And I think after that album, Logic said he was only going to drop 1 album before he was retired. And so when he dropped that, it was like, well, is Logic retiring? Is this really his last album or what? And it just wasn't. So I think it was just a little bit overlooked for that reason, but it did have that classic jazzy boom bap that we all love Logic for, and he spit fire lyrics on it. He has amazing feel-good songs on it. Like One Day featuring Ryan Tedder is absolutely amazing, and I think the features on this album are especially notable because they were very good features. Like, none of these features really disappointed. I mean, he had pretty much all of Wu-Tang Clan on the song Wu-Tang Forever. Like, who can do that these days? Really, only Logic is one of those people. Haley Steinfeld was on it. Jaden Smith, the song Iconic, was on it. That was a huge song. And Wale. So I think this was a classic Logic album that people were really looking for, especially after the album Everybody. It really did take it back to the Young Sinatra days, and I think people were extremely happy with this album. It just had a lot of great classic old school hip hop vibes, kind of like the 90 vibes that everyone loves Logic for. So I think the production on this album was just more classic Logic, and that's why I enjoy it a lot. And I think it just has a lot more feel-good songs than anything. So my favorite songs off of it are One Day featuring Ryan Tedder, 100 Miles and Running, and Iconic with Jaden Smith. I think those songs are really good. At number 3, this is going to surprise every single one of you. I have Under Pressure, which is Logic's debut album, and this album is a gem. And these 3 albums, don't get me wrong, these are so close. Like, I couldn't even choose between any of them. These next 3 albums, any single one of them could be number 1. So don't get too mad at me for having Under Pressure number 3, because it could literally be number 1, just depending on the day that you're in, listening to them and what you're into on that day and the vibes you're into. But it was his very first studio album. It flowed together amazingly. He had amazing storytelling on it. Every song, unskippable. You could listen to the whole album. He even had those Childish Gambino and Big Sean features on the deluxe version, and every song hit the mark. I don't think there was a bad song on Under Pressure, and this one was so hard to top. It was a debut album that didn't flop at all. This is classic. It was a Logic that everyone fell in love with. When he was releasing his first mixtapes, this just kept on going with it, but took it to another level because it was a studio album. And that's it. The only reason it's 3 is I don't even really know why. I just think the other 2 have these little ticks that are better to it, and I'll explain why. But my favorite songs off of Under Pressure are Nikki, All Right, and Buried Alive. So coming in at number 2, I have The Incredible True Story. Now, this album and Under Pressure are extremely close, and like I said, they could be ranked higher than the other on any given day. But the reason I have this number 2 is because of the story it tells and the futuristic aspects to it, and those skits in it. They're so funny, they're so Logic, they're so futuristic, outer spacey, Rick and Morty, type stuff. And I think I really love that. And I think the production on it, and even the mixing and mastering on it, I think they were just a tick better than Under Pressure, and that's why I have it higher. I think the full body of the album, of the story it tells, it's like a book, whereas Under Pressure was an amazing album, but it wasn't like a full book, whereas Incredible True Story felt like a full-length book. And it's very futuristic, like I said, and I just love it. And that's why it's just a little bit higher than Under Pressure. And you have some songs on this that are like extra vibey and a little bit different, like City of Stars. I love City of Stars, and you don't really get that on Under Pressure. So I think the variety on Incredible True Story and just a little more mature lyricism, I think. He was like a year or 2 older than when he recorded Under Pressure, so just a little bit more mature storytelling, the full story of the album that felt like a book, the futuristic, and even some different vibes on it that I really enjoyed. Just puts it that much farther ahead of Under Pressure for me personally. But my favorite songs are I Am the Greatest, Young Jesus, and City of Stars. And coming in at number 1, I don't care if I'm high off of the release of this album, but it's No Pressure, his final album that he just released Friday. I think this album is so good front to back. It has everything you want. It has Go Hard Bobby Tarantino Logic on it. It has classic Young Sinatra on it. It has boom bap Logic. It has everything you could want in a Logic album. And the way he released it on Twitch, he's going to start streaming on Twitch here soon. He had the album listening party on Twitch. It was absolutely amazing. He kept freestyling all night. The songs on it, I've fallen in love with this album. The production is top tier. He has so many samples on this album that are unreal. I know he put a lot of money into this album because of the amount of samples that are really on it. This album is going to be so influential, and I think now and in the future this album is going to be timeless. I think Logic himself is timeless, and this album just all around, every song is unskippable, flowed together perfectly, tells the story of his life up to his retirement, even had his baby son on it, and it was just absolutely incredible. I really couldn't ask for a perfect ending for Logic. Like I said, I don't care if it's new and I'm just kind of hype and high off of the release, but this album is just amazing. I love the way he wrapped it up with Amen and Obediently Yours. And the song Heard 'Em Say, I can't stop listening to. That is my favorite song off of it. My favorite songs off of No Pressure are Celebration and Heard 'Em Say, but Perfect is a song I think it's the most played song on Spotify right now. It's definitely kind of like your Bobby Tarantino Logic, but I love it. His storytelling on it's perfect. You could tell he put his whole heart and soul into this album right before he was leaving the rap game for retirement. I know he worked hard on it. You could tell it's in the art, it's in the work, the storytelling, the lyricism, the production, even, like I said, the samples on it. So No Pressure, number one. You guys should listen to No Pressure a few times before you make your rankings on it. And like I said, Under Pressure, Incredible True Story, and No Pressure, those three could be flip-flopped any day of the week, just depending on what you're into. So let me know your guys' favorite Logic songs, favorite Logic albums. Let me know if you like his mixtapes better. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think of Logic. So let me know those things, and let me know who I should rank albums for next week's Tuesday video. I appreciate you guys getting this far in the video. Hit a like, sub to the channel, stream my music on all streaming platforms. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EJSpark1. And as always, you know what it is. It's peace, love, I love s'mores. EJ out.